Every single time I've had this conversation, which most usually devolves into a debate with people, things have gone terribly. I've made people cry, I've ruined relationships, and I've been hung up on and ignored. This means one of two things. I'm either super right, and the people I'm arguing against are retarded, or I'm super wrong, and I'm retarded. My argumentation to the normie L-nerds who watch this will seem solely like a defense of my use of the word retard, and they will click off before the meat and potatoes, because they are cucks. But in reality, it is so much more. I will be dismantling ideology in this video. I will be destroying your present notions of language and truth. I will be disintegrating your sense of self. Does that sound fun? Well, I guess it depends on set and setting. Nick the human might fuck on your bitch, spray his nut and give her kids. All a lie, one big illusion, you're just a data set for GPT-3. First off, before all of that, I think it to be beneficial to lay out my initial claim, which is as follows. The word retard is useful because offensive words are useful. Offensive words are useful because we as humans disagree with people's actions and thoughts and wish to cause offense, situationally. I beg for you to tell me the difference between these two statements. You're being retarded, you're being stupid. Retard's more offensive and insensitive. Okay, why? It was used as a medical term to describe someone as being low IQ. Okay, so? Stupid was also used to do the same, as was imbecile, idiot, and moron. Should we stop saying those things as well? I also reject the authority of the psychiatrist and psychologist in relation to the creation of arbitrary categories which they might place humans into, based on their idiosyncratic and flawed perceptions of expressed behavioral patterns and reality itself. Imagine taking advice from a mortal man who exists outside you in regard to yourself. Whenever you remember something, it is slightly altered. Whenever you perceive something, it is seen through a lens that only you possess, unless you are possessed by the words of another. Whenever you dream of something, it is for reasons that only you are capable of truly understanding. What I mean to articulate here is that only you know the truest forms of your volitions and perceptions. Only you know yourself, and the words of another looking in will never be able to fully understand all aspects of you. Psychoanalysis only works if you perform it on yourself. The words of another, especially one with a perceived authority or deeper understanding of the mind, might easily lead you astray. I understand it to be beneficial to let other people look inside, perhaps for a fresh perspective. But why do that when you could just take a bunch of acid and give yourself temporary imaginary friends? Or, as I like to call them, semi-autonomous psychic complexes. I guess you can talk to your actual friends, or whatever. Even if you may never know, you will be closer to the truth of the matter, closer than you will be from some fucking jargonite book dork that's listened to you make shit up for a few hours, who's only known you for like a month, and only gives a fuck about you because he's financially incentivized. You're gonna let him give you drugs? Really? $300 a month for the next 40 years from every broken rich kid he can convince to transition? I digress. I will do an entire video on anti-psychiatry in the future, because it's really interesting. Anyways, another argument. The R word's more intense and jarring. Okay, what if I desire to be more intense and jarring? Is it not of my own accord to determine what is too offensive in a conversation? Language is contextual! What if I wish to be the most intense and jarring? The word is not distracting or detracting or useless in this case. It is providing more linguistic detail. It is allowing you to see what I see. This is the purpose of language, to express something as best as possible. Why would we ever remove a word from our vernacular? Ever. Also, I reject this notion completely. Retard is not always more intense and jarring. Language is contextual! Who is to say what is more intense and jarring? What if someone was called idiot boy their entire life by police? I'm sorry, that's just so funny. What's up, idiot boy? Bitch ass idiot boy? Wouldn't being called idiot be more intense and jarring for that person? You've no idea what someone has experienced. Reality is contextual! I have absolutely no idea how a word might offend someone, so I suppose, in an effort to not offend anyone, we should now remove any word from the dictionary if it is claimed to be offensive by any person. Don't you think people would just make up new words? Perhaps instead of fag, one might say frog. Perhaps instead of nigga, one might say jigga. Perhaps instead of retard, one might say threetard. Are these the same words? Back to the difference between stupid and retard. What are the differences between these statements? You're retarded. You're stupid. You're retarded. You're stupid. Stop, you're being so retarded. Stop, you're being so stupid. Clearly, the intonation of my speech influences the meaning behind the word. What of this statement? That car looks so retarded. Clearly, the subject of my statement influences the meaning behind the word. But of course, there's still an argument to be made against mine, even in the case of using the word retard against an inanimate object. Simply using it in any context otherizes the disabled community. No. It does not. You're actively otherizing the disabled community. You're propping it up. You're propagating the otherizing. What does it mean to be disabled? To be unable to do a certain task? To be unable to function normally in society without external assistance? So, if I can do theoretical physics and you can't, that should mean you're disabled contextually. If you rely on food stamps, you are disabled, right? Oh wait, no. If your IQ is lower than mine, then you're disabled. I can call you stupid. I can call you retarded, right? Because your score on a test created by other flawed conscious entities is lower than mine. But if someone has an IQ higher than mine, or is better than me at something, doesn't that make me retarded? Or stupid? Or an imbecile? Or a moron? Or disabled? Don't those all mean the same things? Doesn't that mean everyone can be that word in a specific context? Doesn't that mean anything can be claimed to be retarded because retarded when seen from the root of reality, from on and off, from black and white, from warm and cold, simply exists as a symbolic link to the latter, to the stupid car, person, behavioral pattern, or thought? But if the word retard is only applied intellectually to an arbitrarily determined group of people, the disabled, that another group of people, the psychologists, made up, then you're actively participating in the recognition of the word retard not being able to be universally applied is directly otherizing whomever you might deem to be categorized as disabled, / whoever you are told to be disabled by an authority. You see, if I think anyone can be retarded, including myself, no one is actually retarded. I don't think the disabled community exists because I actually have empathy. If someone is perceived by me to be stupider than me, I do not let it be known that I perceive them in that way unless we are at odds or something like that and I'm being ridiculed in some manner. The difference between me and you is that I don't think I'm smarter than anyone. I don't even try to define that word. I don't think I'm stupider than anyone either. Obviously, how would I even know? What if the reason someone with Down syndrome appears the way they do is actually because they have genetically mutated the ability to access and simulate the entire perceptive history of the human genome within their minds, and they are hyperdimensional travelers who exist as time gods within the imaginal realm?
What?
This would obviously require an immense amount of energy, so their physical form in the third dimension developed in a different way from ours. Can you see inside their mind? Or is it only a heat map of activity that you observe on the screen? Do you see what they see? Then who are you to decide how disabled they are? What of Stephen Hawking? Would you claim him to be disabled? He can't even speak. Yes, right, in regard to being a normal functioning human being. What an empty statement. There is no such thing as a normal human being. We all have our own idiosyncratic experience of reality, our own expression. Am I disabled compared to LeBron James? Perhaps when observed playing basketball, I would look like a retard compared to him. Do you see now? Perhaps if LeBron James attempted to observe the contents of a folder using a Linux terminal, he would look genuinely retarded. Does that actually make him a retard? No, you decide what a retard is, subjectively, within a specific circumstance. It is nothing else outside of this, and there is no way to tell me I am wrong without emotionally manipulating me. Are you ready to go deeper? You thought this was the meat and potatoes, did you? We haven't even peaked yet. Why does he care so much about the word retard? Why does it mean so much? Why does he care about the castration of thought? Why does he see this conversion of retard to our word as a chastity cage around his cock? Perhaps it is because Crime Stop is chastity.
The word Crime Stop denotes the citizens' self-awareness to immediately rid themselves of unwanted, incorrect thoughts, both personal and political, the discovery of which, by the think pole, would lead to detection and arrest. The think pole are responsible for the detection and elimination of thought crime, and for the social control of the populations of America by way of audio-visual surveillance and offender profiling. Such psychological monitoring allows the thought police to detect, ban, and isolate thought criminals, citizens whose independence, intellectual, mental, and moral, challenges the political orthodoxy of Silicon Valley and thus the legitimate government authority of America. In the detection of thought crime and to overcome the physical impossibility of simultaneously policing every citizen of America, the think pole spy upon the populace through ubiquitous two-way telescreens. They use advanced AI machine learning algorithms to analyze and collect image, speech, video, and audio data from hundreds of millions of profiles, and so can monitor any person's body language, geographic location, interests, reflexive speech, and facial expressions. Recommendation algorithms built by data scientists and coders are leveraged by deep learning and are able to influence entire populations. What you hear, who you see, what you think, even what you eat, all controlled by millions of lines of polymorphic text. The thought police, hyper-agreeable human beings who have been programmed by black hat software engineers and Marxists who have infiltrated and manipulated the education system and social platforms of the youth, utilize newspeak to communicate and designate enemies of the ideology. The political purpose of newspeak is to eliminate the expression of the shades of meaning inherent in ambiguity and nuance from standard English. Doublethink is a process of indoctrination in which subjects are expected to simultaneously accept two conflicting beliefs as truth, often at odds with their own memory or sense of reality. People learn doublethink and newspeak due to peer pressure and a desire to fit in, or to gain status within the party, to be seen as a loyal member of the status quo. For someone to even recognize, let alone mention, any contradiction within the context of the party line is akin to blasphemy and could subject that person to disciplinary action and the instant social disapproval of fellow party members, seen functionally as the removal from social platforms, the isolation of the individual, the freezing of their bank accounts, and the inability to be included. Although ThinkPol is most famous for the agency's pervasive surveillance of everyday life, this control means that the population of America, all of it and including the ruling elite, but in practice largely excluding the working class, could be controlled and manipulated merely through the alteration of everyday thought and language. Newspeak is the method for controlling thought through language. Doublethink is the method of directly controlling thought. Thus, each party member could be a credulous pawn, but would never lack relevant information, the party being both fanatical and well-informed, and thus unlikely either to ossify or grow soft and collapse. Doublethink would avoid a killing the messenger attitude that could disturb the command structure. Thus, doublethink is the key tool of self-discipline for the party, complementing the state-imposed discipline of propaganda and the police state. These tools together hide the government's evil not just from the people but from the government itself, but without the confusion and misinformation associated with primitive totalitarian regimes. Doublethink is critical in allowing the party to know what its true goals are without recoiling from them, avoiding the conflation of a regime's egalitarian propaganda with its true purpose. Separate, cull, castrate, enslave.
Or I have schizophrenia, and I'm overreacting to the reactions of attractive white women. Seriously, it's only ever been attractive white women. When they tell me not to say the R word because it's mean, maybe I need to grow up and realize how truly valuable and rare the relationships I have are, especially in this isolationist world, and how excluding a word from my vocabulary, it's pretty unpleasant to hear anyways, in an effort to make those I love happy, isn't really the end of the world. What can I say? I'm really lonely.